limited late model division, it's at a state of flux right now. It's an interesting time where you got second and third generation racers that are moving up from the super stock ranks or the mini stock ranks or other disciplines of pavement racing and really carving out a niche for themselves and making a name for themselves. One young driver that definitely got the job done in 2015 in terms of turning some heads and opening some eyes, it's none other than Jordan Latimer. Had a great year at Sunset Speedway in the limited late model division. It's funny how it all worked out because your plans were to go and run Barry, get your feet wet a little bit, sort of shake this car down. It ends up closing. You end up at Sunset with some certified killers every Saturday. And at no point did you guys ever look out of place. I mean, did it surprise you how well the season went?
Yeah, it did. Like you said, we were planning on going to Barry and everything, but we didn't know Barry was closing. So went to Sunset, and I gotta say, I was pretty nervous to jump into a field with such big drivers like Holdway and Baker, Walters, and I'm going against Gord. We're going over, and Rick Walt and all them, and I was a little nervous to jump in with all of them, but like you say, we handled it pretty well. I think my team did pretty good. I didn't know we were going to do that well. Like you said, we finished. I think our highest finish was 4th.
Yep.
We had a few top 5s and everything, so I was pretty happy. We got Rookie of the Year. So I think we did the same as what we did in Thundercar. We went over our expectations and over our goals,
Yep.
so I was happy.
And you set the bar so high for yourself because your freshman year in Thundercar was so good. Were you sort of feeling the pressure before you ever got this car to the track, knowing that people were going to expect another Rookie of the Year campaign out of you after what you accomplished in the Thundercar ranks?
Yeah, I feel like they were, but there was a few more drivers in late model that were going for the Rookie of the Year. Like under the Ridge Road stable, we had Marcus, and then we also had I think we had 4 altogether going for it. But we seem to be doing pretty good. I think we held the lead for it pretty well all year. I mean, our rough nights, it was close though. So I was a little bit nervous getting towards the end of the year because it was getting close. After we blew up 2 engines, and then I think it was within like 20 points or something, and then we pulled back out and got it. So.
And you never missed a night. There were nights where it looked like you were going to be forced to take a week off when you started running out of spare engines when you were blowing them up, but you guys made it work, whatever you needed to do, and you never got down on yourself, you never got down on your team. There was always this air of positivity around you. How difficult was it to sort of keep that smiling face on when things started getting tough towards the end of the year?
It was, I don't know, like interviews we did after the race, yeah, I was upset and I was kind of in the dumps, but we got back to the shop and then we pulled it all apart and realized it wasn't as bad as we thought. So, like I say, my team, they did awesome. They kept me going. We worked on it every night, made sure we got back for the next weekend. So, really got to thank my team on that part because they did put in long hours, long nights to get this thing back every weekend from when we had those off nights, the 2 blown motors. We climbed the wall.
Yep,
There was a lot of things that we did do that were tough to come back for, but we did.
And if you were at any time, at any point nervous, it didn't show. That didn't come across. Was there a level of intimidation, especially at the beginning of the year when you were first getting started, knowing that you're racing against some of the very best that Ontario has to offer?
Yeah, the beginning of the year more, but I think once we got like 4 weekends in, I just felt like I was in the Thunder car, and it wasn't really. I felt more comfortable with it, and I was getting comfortable with the car more and more every weekend. But I think as soon as halfway through like the season, ever since then, I just felt like I don't know. I was a part of the class, and there wasn't really guys out there thinking like, oh, here's this kid. They were thinking like, oh no, we gotta get by this guy because we were showing better results halfway through. So I think we were earning more respect.
Sunset's qualifying format, the single car time trials. A lot of guys that have been racing late models forever had a hard time sort of acclimating themselves to the new qualifying format. It didn't look as though you had any issue with it whatsoever. Do you feel as though that sort of, it gave you the leg up because you had never known late model racing in any other way? You had never run heat races with them? You sort of stepped right into it and got used to the time trials right off the bat?
Yeah, it was because, well, ever since go-karting we did that. I think it was the last like 2-3 years go-karting, they changed qualifying from like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to you get green, white, and checkered, and then you're done. That's your qualifying. So I think that kind of helped me out a little bit because in karting I was a little bit used to you got to make a good lap, and you only got 1 lap to do it. So I mean, I don't I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do in qualifying. Like I still feel like I got to step up my game, but still I think that helped us a little bit.
Do you feel comfortable entering your sophomore season at Sunset? I mean, the division hasn't really changed. There's still the same level of talent. It's going to be just as difficult this year as it was last year. How much confidence do you have in your program and your team?
Well, I haven't actually done 2 years the same car or the same class. So this is a little bit new to me and my team, staying with the same car, but we've done a few things to it, and I feel like we're going to be better. I mean, there's a couple things different in the rules. There's different guys coming, and I feel like a lot of guys are getting new cars, doing a lot of changes and stuff, so I feel like it's going to be a lot closer fields this year, and I feel like I think we're going to do good.
Your father, Jason, mentioned off camera that you guys had found something with this car when you had it on the surface plate. What kind of changes were you able to make to the car that you feel as though it might give you a bit of a leg up this year?
Well, we thought it was a lot worse than it was. We were hoping it wasn't, which is good, but there was just a little tweak in it, so that made it so we could pull it back down, and it was all good from there. And then we just made a few changes in the rear end, like minor. Played with the front end a little bit. Nothing really big, but I feel like they're going to add up, and we found a couple more things. I mean, caliper was seized, and it wasn't full seized, but it was rubbing, and a few things that are going to help with a push off we had all season, and hopefully it makes it so it rocks through the corners and I can come off like no tomorrow.
It's the little things that make the differences, right? It all adds up, and the little things very quickly become the big things, especially when you're racing against this level of talent where you know that everyone on either side of you, every car in the pit area, they're having their stuff 110% right. You know that you have to come correct every single Saturday.
Well, I mean, every weekend he came, we were learning all year. Like, we're still learning, but I remember coming into the class and we're like, I don't know, we're trying stuff. But this year there's going to be a little bit more of that. Like, there's going to be some of that, but there's also going to be more of us knowing what the car does and knowing what changes do and what kind of, if we put a spring here, we know what it's going to do. If we make this adjustment, we know what it's going to do. So I feel like we're going to have a little bit more confidence in the team with the car.
Did you feel as though early in the season it was difficult for you to provide proper feedback to your team, given you're a fish out of water? You'd never raced a late model, so you don't know what good feels like in one of these cars. So was it difficult to communicate that to your team?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season it was, because, I mean, in the Thunder car, got used to it. I could say, like, oh, I think we just need to put, like, a round in the right rear or take a round out or something. But we come into this class, and there's different things you can do, and I come in, and I tell them what was wrong with it, and I was like, I don't really know, like, it's tight here and loose off, so, like, I don't know what we could do. But towards the end of the season, I realized that we could do more things, like the panhard bar. We can adjust that. I learned what the shocks and the bumps do, so we had a little bit of help with that with Mike Brown. So he come over and he pulled me aside a few times and explained what things do to this car because he ran it. So he kind of got stuff in my head, and I learned a little bit through the season.
Now, how important was that for you to know what these components do to this car and what changing one thing does to something else? I mean, is that had you sort of laid that at the beginning of the year that you wanted to learn that, you wanted to get there and understand what makes this car work?
I don't think I really made it clear to all my guys, but like in my head I was interested in what was going on. So if there was something going on, somebody was changing something, like my guys were under the car doing something, I was always in there asking questions and trying to do it with them to learn, because I find as a driver, if you work on it and you can realize what this part does, you will know as a driver what's wrong. If there's something wrong, you can realize, okay, so that's how that works, and that could be something that is not working or something that's made the car much better.
You get to run some extended distance races this year. That's a little bit different than anything you had done in the Thunder car. What was that like, and how difficult was it to acclimate yourself to the longer runs behind the wheel of the late model?
I mean, in the Thunder car, we did a little bit longer races. I think the longest one we did was a 50 lapper, but I think we did a 75.
Because with the Reynolds, was the Reynolds 75 or 100? Trying to think. I think it was 100.
I don't know. I think it
Longer
was,
than
yeah.
50 no matter what, for
Yeah.
sure.
But Gord was in my ear all the previous probably like 2 weeks before that, trying to drive it into my head that I need to save the tires because those last like 25 laps is when I'm gonna need them. And I think that was the only like special we did.
Yes.
But I ended up saving the tires, and I think I did a pretty good job with it because the last 25 laps or so, there was a, like caution. But we'd come and my spotter was on the radio, and he was saying like, you're faster than half the guys in front of you. If we could just get a good green flag run here, you could pass them, and you could be sitting in a top 5 position. So that kind of, he helped me a lot through the year too. That kind of helped me. Okay, well, I think I did a pretty good job. So I got a car under me. Let's go.
It's funny because extended distance racing is Gord Shepherd's thing. I mean, that's where he really excels, and that's where he really is a big time threat. I mean, he's a threat no matter what. But
Yeah.
long races, Gord Shepherd is one that you know is going to go to the front. How important is it to continue your working relationship with Gord Shepherd? I mean, there's a guy that's done everything. He's been everywhere. He's won championships, and
Yeah.
I got to imagine that sort of swapping information is invaluable for a young driver.
It is. I've learned a lot from Gord and all the guys and everything. And ever since we did start with him, the beginning of 2014, he's been over every weekend. He helps with whatever he can and whenever he can. He's in there giving advice and working on the car with us and giving us pointers and helping us figure out what is wrong with it and everything. So I don't think we'd be in the same spot we are right now without all the stuff he's done for us. So.
What can you do as a driver this year differently than what you did last year to put your team in a better position overall?
I'm gonna try a lot more on patience. I didn't have as much patience last year as I'd like to have because I was so used to Thunder Car. It was bump the guy out of the way and go, and it was more leaning on guys. But in this class, I find with the top runners a lot more respect, and there's a lot more respect with their equipment and not just bashing into guys and beating and bang. And it's more if you're gonna bump somebody, you need to do it at the right time, else they are not gonna be happy at all. But so I'm thinking to see if I can learn how to do that. Maybe the hold away bump and run or something like that. Because watching him go through the pack when he started 14th behind us and he'd come up through, the moves he would do is. You'd sit there and think, how does he get his car to do that? Because he'd go from this lane and go under the guy and go down the straightaway and pass him, and it's like, I wish my car would handle like that.
I mean, hold away, there's no wasted movement. Everything he does with that steering wheel is for a reason, there's a purpose, and he wastes no time and gets absolutely everything out of that car.
Yeah, like, you watch him, and it's almost like he sees 6 cars in front of him the lap before, so that way, and 5 laps when he gets there, it's like he already knows what he's going to do with the guy because he's been watching that far ahead.
One thing that was well documented at the beginning of the year is how your schedule with the Thunder Car was every week, lots of laps, lots of chance to sort of get used to it, get the feel for the race car. The late model Sunset, especially the way that the schedule played out early in the year. I mean, you were having 1 week off, 1 week on, 3 weeks off. I mean, that has to be difficult when you have this brand new car. It responds differently than anything else you've ever driven, and you don't get the seat time that you really need.
Well, it's difficult to keep the good runs going when you have that many weekends off. But when there's, I think we had a 3-week off span, and then that week, the week starting it, that race, I think we blew up, or something was wrong with the car. We had a really bad weekend, but it was stress because you wanted to get back to the track and see if this changed it and what we fixed actually did something to improve the car. But you had to wait those 3 weeks, and I was like, oh, like I want to watch racing, but like I want to go and be in the car. So it was a little bit difficult having those 3 weeks off.
And I mean, race rust is real. I mean, when you're not in the car at the track every week, I mean, you start to, the muscle memory starts to go away a little bit, right?
Well, even velocity last year in autumn colors, I'd go and watch the races, and it was hard to watch because I was like, oh, I just want to bring my car in here. We blew up championship night, and that's why we didn't run at Peterborough, because we didn't really want to go and have another chance of doing something to the car because we already had 2 motors go on us. So, but it is tough going to going and watching races when you know you could be out there with those guys and you're like, oh, I could be running right there with that guy. It is a little bit harder, but still fun.
It's so interesting to hear your father tell the story of when you first got started, coming from karts to something a little bit bigger, where he looked at Legends cars, he looked at mini stocks,
Yeah.
and before finally settling on the Thunder car. And of course, there were skeptics, people wondering if going from karting right into a Thunder car was a right move, and would you be able to adapt? If you could go back and do it all over again, would you play it out exactly the way your team did it?
Yeah, I think I would, because we're in a pretty good situation the way we are. So the spot we're in, I think we do it the exact same way as what we did. But it's weird to think what would happen if we went legend car racing,
Yes.
or if we went with a 4-cylinder or something different. But I think we're sitting pretty good here the way we are now.
I've had a lot of guys tell me, and obviously I don't race, I don't know anything about, I just analyze, that's all I'm good at. So, but I've had guys tell me that in terms of driver development, mini stock racing, there comes a time where all you're learning is bad habits, as opposed to your Thunder car, where a lot of what you were doing behind the wheel of the Thunder car could sort of transfer directly over to the limited late model.
We heard, like, when we were first getting into the cars and everything, that was the big thing, where people telling us, you're just going to waste your time in mini stock or mighty mini or anything like that, because you can't really carry over anything from that 4-cylinder class to Thunder car or late model. But then there's other guys saying, well, you learn power to wheel control and the steering and everything like that. You can transfer it all over to a Thunder, but everyone says different things. Everyone has different opinions. So I think we made the smart move of going straight to Thunder car, because I think I enjoyed it more than I would in mini stock, even though there is bigger fields. But I think it worked out better for us skipping that class and going straight to Thunder.
I know how much it meant for you to get to race at Barrie, the one season that you had. Your grandfather Gary Reynolds ran Barrie forever, won a lot of races there, was the man around Barrie for a long time. With Barrie obviously no longer being with us, you have to race in Sunset. If you want to race in Simcoe County, you don't have much of a choice. Is it still special for you though, to unload at the racetrack? I mean, obviously it's never going to feel like Barrie, but does it still make you feel good that you're sort of following in his footsteps?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm running his number on the door and running in the same class and everything. Well, it might not be the same as what the class was back when he ran, but it's the same class and everything. And it's interesting walking around the pits and seeing guys, and they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And it's like, how do you know me? But it's like, I guess they knew my grandfather, and it's interesting because everything that he did and all the people he knew, they're kind of looking at me now, because we're into the same class, into the cars and everything. So they're looking at me, and they're watching me because of what he did. So it's kind of, I think I have some of his fans too, so that's also a lot of help and everything. So it is pretty cool.
As far as personnel goes, team members for next year, I mean, you guys assembled one hell of a team in terms of crew and support. I mean, to get you up to speed the way they did, you didn't waste a lot of nights at Sunset. You learned right from the start. So are all these guys going to be back? Is your squad going to look a little bit different? What's the plan for 2016?
Yeah, we have the normal guys like my dad, Chris and Josh, and then Clarky's coming, and we might have a couple more guys. And then I'm talking to a couple of my buddies, seeing if they want to come out just for an extra hand. Say my dad and Chris and Josh are out working, I can grab a couple of my buddies after school and go over and work on the car. But we're looking for a bit bigger of a team, but I say last year, we did do a lot for what we had, and my guys they did a lot of work and a lot of dedication to get me back out on the track every weekend.
Now, is there still the formal affiliation with Ridge Road Racing? Do you still have Gord's full support with this program, or has that changed a little bit?
A little bit, yeah, it has changed. Like, we bought this car, and we're out on our own now, but we're still kind of with them a little bit. Like, we're still going to pit with them and everything like that, but we still we're good friends with them and everything, but we have, Gord's still going to help us out and everything, because we bought the car off of like Ken and Gord and everything, so they're still going to help us out throughout the year and everything. So
do you think, is this the year that we can finally get the 90 car? I shouldn't say finally, you've only raced a year, but can we get the 90 car to the podium this season?
Yeah, I mean, last year, every every new class you go into, the first year is a learning year. That's what we use it as. Ever since go-karting, you move up into a different class, it's a learning year the first year. So last year was our learning year, and this year is going to be our year to impress people and get out there. And I'm going for a win this year, so hopefully we can get that win.
Is it going to be nice to finally have a year where you're in the exact same car you were in last year, where you're, oh, you know, all of this is familiar. I remember this, and I know how this reacts. I mean, is that going to be nice for you?
Yeah, I haven't done it before. Even in karting, I don't even know when the last time I ran the same kart 2 years in a row, because the deal we had and the team we were on, but went from one Thunder car, wrecked it, so we got Gord's Thunder car, got wrecked my first year, and I think it was my third race.
Yep.
So Gord called us up, moved into that car, and then we were going to move into this car, make it a Thunder car, kept it as a late model, so this is our first year in the same car. Hopefully it goes good.
Well, I know that the hours in the shop are as real as anything, but so is the marketing support, and you can't have one without the other. Thank the partners, the sponsors that have come back and are going to make 2016 a reality for you.
The ones we have signed up now are Kitchen Tire. We sealed the deal with them the other day, and the radio stations Kicks 106 and 104.1 The Dock. And then we have like all the Ridge Road guys, all my guys. They all do awesome work for us. North River Motorsports coming back.
Get Jacket Remix doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, he's coming back.
He's got to come back.
AC Electric, word from them is hopefully they're coming back. But all the sponsors from last year, even some of Gord's sponsors helped us out throughout the Thunder car and this car, but Cookstown Auto, don't really have any word from them, but hopefully they're going to do a little bit for us. And then all of our TNC Construction, Taxmart Aurelia, Kruger Electric, they're coming back, Ken's coming back, and who else we got? See over here in the pit box.
It's always a good problem when you have so many that you're forgetting. Yeah. That's a good problem, my man, trust me.
Having stickers around so you can see it, but Epic Racewear, they got the suit for us and everything, so we're gonna show them off again this year, and Creatures Design, hopefully they're gonna do a little bit this year, deckle the collar up for us and everything, and then we got you coming back.
Yep, I'll be here.
So that's about all we have right now.
Well, you did a phenomenal job in 2015. I'm excited to see what back-to-back seasons behind the wheel of a car is gonna do for you. I'm excited. You're part of this youth movement in the limited late model division. It's not the same old names and faces anymore. You know, there's kids that are in their very young teens, early 20s that are coming up and making some noise, and you're the tip of the spear with a lot of those guys. So I'm looking forward to 2016.
Like you said though, once you get up past 16, you're not really.
You're washed up.
Yeah.
Once you're past 16, you're washed up.
17 now, so it's not really.
You're washed up, kid. We don't care anymore.
There's 12-year-olds coming in.
Well, make sure you're at Sunset Speedway opening night. Come see him go to work. I mean, one of the best young minds in the province. Far from a helmet toter. Come to the pit area, see this kid go to work. It's pretty phenomenal. Third generation racer, Jordan Latimer. Follow him on Twitter, @Latimer Jordan. What's the Facebook page?
JL Motorsports.
JL Motorsports. There you have it, folks. Sunset Speedway opening night will be here before you know it. And Jordan Latimer will be there in the number 90 limited late model.